Welcome to the Go Beyond podcast. I'm your host, Charles Scott. On this podcast, I interview exceptional leaders navigating ambition, resilience, and growth. The goal is to help you go beyond your perceived limits. As always, this show is sponsored by the 90% rule, helping leaders escape the grind of the ambitious person's trap and instead spend over 90% of their finite time and energy on things you're good at, you like, and you find meaningful. What's the ambitious person's trap, you ask? That's when you trash your physical and emotional health in pursuit of your professional goals. The 90% rule is the antidote. Go to executivementorcharlescott.com to learn more. All right, on today's show, our guest is Elisabeth Bykoff, who is the founder and CEO of Boxsy Inc, an AI-powered fundraising operations platform for startups. Elisabeth, welcome to the show. I'm going to ask you about Boxsy in a minute, but before I do, I always love to start with this question. If you could go back in time and talk with your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Charles. My 18-year-old self, so you have to put her back in France because that's where I, born and raised. I only landed here 22 years ago. It's going to be in September. So I was 22. So you clear the exact. Now you can also deduct my age, but okay. So I think, it's funny, as you were asking the question, the first thing that came to mind was, holy crap, I would tell her. If you had asked her, where would you be in 22 years or in 20 years? I don't think I would have given this answer, like this answer of like, oh, wow, I've done this multiple career kind of, I call it a portfolio career, portfolio life, because I started for a very long time in consulting first. I think I would be like, do not worry. Don't think that what you pick now will be the end all for your career or your life. I think we, as younger people, sometimes we're like, oh my God, I have to make a choice and this is it, right? No, it's not. And I think have fun, have more fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Things, you'll have ups and downs, but even in the downs, you'll be fine, kind of thing. I think that's all the things, but having fun for sure would be like, hey, have as much fun as you can professionally and personally too. So yeah.
Love it. No, these are wise words. And wouldn't it be wonderful if you could actually go back in time and you could actually follow this advice? I always feel that way about myself. Like, I can't do it, but it sure would have been nice. And one of the things I try to offer young people when I'm working with them is exactly this. Like, I'm telling you, when you get my age, you'll wish someone my age had come back and told you, and you'd actually listen to it. So I don't know if there's any young person listening to this right now. Elisabeth just said some really wonderful things that are really advice worth following. So it's good. But by the way, when I read through your bio and we talked before, It sounds like you've lived up to those expectations, and maybe you can use that as a segue into talking about Boxsy. So, like, how did it start? Like, what was your vision for the company?
Yeah, so after doing 10 years at PwC, and instead of signing my life away and being a partner and quitting, everybody was very surprised. My first entrepreneurship actually experience was at PwC. I sold the first Salesforce.com project for the US firm back in 2009 in the Valley. And so I started doing this, building a practice for them from 0 to 200 million globally for 8 years. First in technology in the Valley, and then, a lot on the East Coast for the financial services practice. Great experience, but as you know, big name behind me, not a blank check, but, we had the resources, right, to make it happen, going after Accenture and Deloitte. And I can tell you the first 2.5 years, it was 2 partners and me, and running around the country trying to sell projects. Again, those other big firms pretending we knew what we were doing, which we didn't. So very, very startup like, Sure. But eventually the leadership team in New York was like, yeah, let's go build this practice. This is where the future is. This is where cloud is, and you're like, yeah, this is where cloud is. So, when I quit in 2017, I really enjoyed the building part. And so I was like, I'm in the Valley, let's go figure out what it's like to be part of a product company, and obviously pre-IPO, right? The idea was to go pre-IPO. I didn't go very far. It's not like I was like, let's go Series A from this huge multi-billion-dollar corporation. I went to a late stage called Aptus, which is quote to cash. Now they're, Conga. But so that was a really good transition for me. The sale was like, come help us clean up house before the IPO, right? We're going to go IPO 12 to 18 months. I joined their professional services for side of the house, which made sense. and then really had different roles there in terms of services go to market, right, from partnerships to really delivering and all that stuff. But and then from there, it's been now almost 10 years, but really quickly, I went from a late stage 250 mil to 190 mil when I left, bought by Thoma Bravo, but like late stage to 2 Series A to pre-product, pre-revenue, go to market executive. When you're in that world, you start meeting people, you make a couple of angel investment yourself, and then you start coaching startups. People start seeking you, or ex-colleagues that decided to start something, or just like meeting friends, networks that are like, hey, could you help them on go to market? Could you help them on X, Y, and Z? Along the way, I picked up, Morgan Stanley Inclusive Ventures Lab. I was a coach there in ER for 2 years, so did that more formally. And to be honest, at the end of 22, when ChatGPT came out, I thought if I have to answer the same question over and over again for founders from an operations perspective, like how to build a B2B sales process in Salesforce. And you're like, oh my God, guys, this is not, one, rocket science, but two, like you shouldn't have to work, like this is not your competitive advantage, right? Like you should be focused on building and selling. And so I thought the tech was finally here to take this wealth of knowledge and really try to distill that and really have those answers for founders like at their fingertips, right? I was like, hey, is there a way to build this ops in a box? That's how it started. Like, can I build an ops in a box for founders so that taking the guesswork out of building operation and scaling operations so they can be more successful and they don't run out of money and they don't, they put in place as they start putting structure early on versus waiting to Series A and now being scrappy for 5 years, right? I didn't go at it right away, Charles, really transparently. I was not like 25, let's eat noodles, sleep on the couch, and we're a bit older. I'm a bit older, or so I took my time, did a lot of user interviews and all that. So didn't start building until end of 24. Big mistake. Right before Vibe Coding, Lovable came out in February 25. So in hindsight, 2020.
Sure.
But since then it's been really micro pivoting on tech, making sure we could take into account agentic workflows, which we didn't have when I first had the idea, MCP, OpenClaw, you name it, whatever's coming, right? Like it's been interesting as an AI founder to have to adjust the tech every time to be able to take advantage of some of those things, right? That are continuously evolving. And then, we had a good MVP, 50 startups on the platform. We got a lot of feedback. We went live last year, but it was still not sufficient, right? We were missing something. So I went back to the interviews and really revalidating. So after a couple of rebuilds and all that, which has been a journey, it's really been around, the AI CO for startup founders along the dollar journey, because that's what matters early stage. So fundraising, like you mentioned, that's our first module, our fundraising sidekick, investor relation, pre-post raise. And then we're also helping from a revenue, generation. So generating capital, managing that capital and deploying that capital to operations. That's really the vision. So the goal is to be the third tool you buy after your domain, your email, and then Boxsy to help you set up operations. That's really the vision. It's like, how many entrepreneurs can we help to make sure that, or they can raise, eventually they can get past that Series A mark, right? That 90% of seed never raise Series A. Or if you're not a VC backable company, can we at least help you guide you through operations if you've never built a business, right? So that's the goal. Sorry, long answer, but that's the story.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And no, I enjoyed listening to you explain it. In fact, it became clear to me when I looked at your background. So you have an aerospace engineering degree, you have an MBA also, and then you have big company, the PwC experience. And then so you're consulting, but then you also go into the startup world and you're doing it yourself. So that I can see the engineering brain trying to dissect the problem, right? The MBA also understanding the importance of finance and fundraising. And also recognizing we're living in such a fast, quick changing world with AI. And so you're having to do the micro pivots, as you say. But I could just in that answer, I could see the fullness of your background. And then you try to bring that to be of service to entrepreneurs, right? And specifically in the fundraising piece and how to create a structure around it. So no, it's wonderful. It's kind of exciting. And I'll brag about you because you're not just the founder of Boxsy. You also are doing other things that I want to highlight and I thought was so interesting. You're the associate producer of the movie Girl in the Clouds, which I know just came out in France. But can you talk about like this? Describe what the movie, maybe why you chose to be involved in the movie. And then I know it's going to come out later in the US. Why don't you promote the movie? I'm happy for you to use this.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Yeah, the movie was just released in France, Switzerland, and Belgium. It's a French production. It's an animated movie called, like you said, Girl in the Clouds. So what you don't know about me, but if you read my book, I wanted to be a film director when I was a kid. I'm a big movie buff. I was raised by a mom that's all we consumed on weekends, nights and weekends. So that was my first passion. I really wanted to tell stories, actually. And my dad at 17 was like, honey, I love you very much, but you're very good at STEM. So you should go get a degree that feeds you. And if you still want to go back to that, do that. And fortunately, unfortunately, I was like, okay, I guess my passion was not as strong as my dad's. So I ended up going to the path that I did. But in 2024, I had a chance at South by Southwest to meet a producer from France. I'm part of French Founders, a big Francophile community. And he was looking for investors for the film to really get it done. And so I thought, maybe that's my chance to get into this world potentially. And the project, it's a girl in Paris. She has lost her parents, and she gets entrusted with this quill that that turns everything she writes for real, becomes real. And so she's on this mission of, having to save the planet and having to go on this travel to really help the planet. So there's a bit of, climate sustainability themes there underneath, and it's a girl. So, you don't always have those stories about girl that are heroes in a way. And so that was also something that I thought was really good. Some of the team working on it were teams that have worked on the Minions and all that. So there was a lot of things that make sense to me. And one of the, she has a sidekick, which is a guinea pig, hamster, whatever you want to call it. And the voice in France is a very, very famous stand-up comedy stand-up guy that I grew up with. Grew up meaning like I grew up watching him and all that. So unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him because I was not at the premiere or anything in France, but I hope maybe one day. But so there was just a lot of things that lined up that was exciting. And so I thought, hey, you know what, this is my way to get back into that, or get into that world, not get back, right? And help with what I can. So, yeah.
Yeah. This is an interesting theme. You need to pay the bills, but you also have this authentic self that wants to be expressed. And I think you're an interesting mix of these two. And I did watch the trailer. For those listening, if you go to YouTube and just type in the girl in the clouds, and the guinea pig is a very cute character. It's true. The English dubbing doesn't do justice.
No, it's coming. I can tell you they're dubbing right now in London.
Oh, okay.
There's potential some big names attached to the dubbing for the guinea pig, but I can't share with you yet. So in English, you'll have a good, I think, same thing, a good comment, comedian. Yeah.
And this movie comes out in the US next year. Is that what you said?
Yeah, January, hopefully. We're not Conway right now. It's scheduled for January. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, for the listeners, you heard it here first. Girl in the Clouds. Check it out. And you also published a book last year called French Landing. So you've got this, and I was looking at I haven't read it, but I looked at the description. It sounds like it's your story too, of a woman who grew up in France, for the first 22 years, and then the next 22 years in the US. So a kind of a French woman's perspective of the US culture, what it looks like. Very interesting as well. So, maybe that's another movie in the making. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, a movie, but definitely trying to make it a TV show or something. So think about it, Emily in Paris in reverse without the stereotype, and it's not fictional. We'll have to make it a bit of a fiction based on my story. That's the goal. But yeah, I'm definitely the goal was to have a piece of IP that I can take and maybe have a audiovisual project and be like, okay, check, I've at least done one that I wanted to do, if I don't do more than that in the future. But yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you one final question. And for it's just so obvious you do so many things, and you're in a position of responsibility with pressure and all that. So, you heard at the intro of this podcast, I talk a lot about the ambitious person's trap. So as an entrepreneur and business leader, have you found it difficult to pursue your professional goals and also take good care of yourself physically and emotionally? Because many executives I work with have fallen into this ambitious person's trap. Have you been able to avoid this? And if so, how so?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think we would all be kidding ourselves if we said that at some point in that journey, ambition or not ambition, founder or no founder, right? Whatever you're pursuing, I think at some point you have your highs and you have your lows, and in your lows, it's definitely where you have not taken care of yourself as well as you should, or you've compromised on certain things you should not have compromised. And so I think it comes in waves, to be fair. I think you will never find an ambitious person that has not had those kind of ups and downs, I'm going to say. I mean, if they haven't, good for them, but somebody's going to have to tell me how. Because you can be as strong as you want from a mental health perspective. You're still going to have days where you're doubting yourself, or you're second guessing yourself, or, and that when it's like that, it's like, well, what do I do? Do I take care of my mental health? Do I work out? Do I spend time with family? You know what I mean? Or whatever you have in your life, right? And so, no, I don't think you can really avoid the trap. It's just, you want to avoid, you want less traps than the highs, right? And if that makes sense, right? We had a saying like that in consulting, right? You want more good projects than bad projects, right? And at the end of the day, that's what makes the fun of being a consultant, right? And so I think here is the same. Is like you want to make sure you have more highs than lows in the same of taking care of yourself. But I think you have to give yourself some grace. There's just going to be days or period of time that you're just going to have to really give yourself some grace and be like, I need those 2 weeks, I need those 3 weeks, right? Or I need the month, right? I need to focus on something. But then I think the goal, the mindset is don't let it, don't let it be 3 months, 6 months, and then you never get out of it. And I think that's the way to do it. I mean, I'm the first offender,
Sure.
here and again, right? It's like, I worked out this morning. Awesome. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like
To prove it again every day. No, wonderful. No, thank you. I really appreciate that, very honest and vulnerable answer too. And of course, we're all struggling with this, and you may do it great one day and then the next day you don't. So anyway, but by the way, that's the plug for the 90% rule. This is what my day job is, to help people avoid this. And as you put it, it's just such a common trap. So no, you're not alone, as you know. But well, okay. So thank you. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you? Is like a website, or where would you send people if they wanted to learn more about you and your work?
You can ping me on, LinkedIn. For sure. Find me on LinkedIn. I also have a personal website, elisabethbykoff.com. And then if you're interested in boxsy.io, boxsy.io. But same thing, LinkedIn is the best way if you need anything, and always happy to support founders and entrepreneurs. So yeah, don't hesitate.
Great. And for those listening, not reading the notes here, it's Elisabeth with an S.
Sorry.
And
French way. You can get the French out of the girl.
Exactly. Which is great. And Bykoff is B as in boy, Ykoff. So Elisabeth, all right, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. So, and as a reminder to everyone listening, this show is sponsored by the 90% rule, helping leaders escape the grind of the ambitious person's trap and instead spend over 90% of your finite time and energy on things you're good at, you enjoy, and you find meaningful. To learn more, go to executivementorcharlescott.com. Until next episode, go beyond your perceived limits and live the 90% life.